to the inaugural episode of the Replayables podcast. I'm here with two old school gaming enthusiasts. I'm here with T-Bird, Tony. As you can see, lots of Mario propaganda. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm here with the slutty thwompus himself, Randy, the Luigi amiibo enthusiast. Thank you also for joining us for this inaugural episode.
My only propaganda is Ultimate Dance Party 1997 tucked in the corner over here.
Nice. That is the best memorabilia you can have. So today we're starting things off by covering Super Mario 64. And we can start by going around the room, and I'll ask you first, Tony. Did you play this game when it first came out? Was it something you kind of found a little bit later? And is it something you've revisited a few times?
So when I got the N64, we actually didn't get this game first. My friend across the street did, who was like my best friend. So I ended up playing it the most at his house until later on I ended up getting it for like a Christmas gift or something. But yeah, I played it a lot. It was like you get home from school and go over to that person's house and we're all playing the game, like 3 or 4 of us all watching one person play. It's like, I can't beat it. You try it. And it's my turn. Let me play it. So yeah, I played this quite a lot with like groups of friends, even for a single player game.
Yeah. Randy, when did you come to this game?
Late. I did not own an N64, and yeah, I didn't have the experience Tony had. So when I was playing other friends' N64s, it was usually like WrestleMania 2000 or
I imagine Smash Bros might have been a N64 treat.
Smash Brothers and Mario Party was the biggest one.
Yeah.
So, and Mario Kart. So like they all had 64 and probably played at home with their families and alone, but I was like, nah, I wasn't getting a piece of that. So yeah, I came to this very late.
Did you play it on like did you first play it on like a different system? Did you emulate it? Did you play it? Like, how did you, I'm trying to figure out like how long it was kind of on your backlog and, how late you kind of came to it.
I first played it on emulator, and then I got the Mario 3D Anniversary Pack on Switch, which is like, it was very funny because they're like, this is going to be timed digital. And I didn't believe them, but I was like, it was like 2 days remaining to buy it. And I got the FOMO got me, and I bought it, and they have not put it back on the store since. So they were not kidding. They called their own bluff, and I was like, oh my God, they have not sold this again. There's like physical copies, which scalpers are fighting over, but the digital one never went on sale digitally again. So I'm pretty happy I bought it.
Yeah, so my story was I didn't get an N64 at launch. I had to wait. So the N64 comes out late September 96. I get it for Christmas. And I do get Mario 64 with it. But a mutual friend of ours, Hayes, had this game at his house, and he got it at launch or like really shortly after launch. So I remember going to his house and having like my mind blown, like the first time like I used the analog stick and the first time I saw like Mario like going up a platform, right? So I definitely like played it at friend's house. And then when I first got it, like that was it. Like I was like, I couldn't stop until I like finished the game. And I think this kind of goes into our next question, but at the time in 96, I remember relying on like Nintendo Power a lot, right? Like I got the Nintendo Power issue and it had like some of the other like stars and stuff in it, but it was like right before the internet. So I was wondering, Tony, since you played it pretty early, did you have like a strategy guide? How did you get information about the game?
So this was like, we had like dial-up, and there was a website. This brought back memories of me in like, we had this one room where all the kids' room was, and that's where like the computer for the family was, the TV, and all the video games lived there, and that was like segregated. My parents had their entertainment room, which was a family room. This is just like the kids' toy room. And I remember sitting on the computer while my sister and my brother are playing video games, and I'm scouring the internet because I heard online or from friends at school, if you go to a website called ccc.com or something, Cheat Code Central, it would tell you about all sorts of games. And it was one graphic at the top of the screen and then just text. The whole thing was text. So it's like all the guys, I'm reading through, I'm like, that's how you do that. Oh my God, I didn't even know about that. I'm reading everything about the game and like what to do. And I'm like, oh, I should print this so I'd have it. And I remember stupidly hitting print, and the printer was running. And then I realized it was like 150 pages, and it was just going on this old like dot matrix printer for hours. I had to like turn everything off to make it stop because I couldn't get it. I had no idea how to stop it at like 10 or 11 years old. I'm like, I don't know what to make it to do. It just won't stop printing. I turned the computer off and it's still printing.
Yeah. Yeah, the same thing happened when I first printed the Final Fantasy VII Chocobo guide on GameFAQs, and I went to print it at like page like 40. I'm like, oh God, my dad's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I was
Um,
so afraid.
yeah, but it was the same with me, like either Friends, Nintendo Power, or like Cheat CC, like you mentioned, was like a brand new thing. And when I went to, we didn't have like a computer, or like we didn't have dial up at the time. So I'd go to the library. There was like a library across the street when I lived in New York City, and I'd get like 10 minutes and like go on Cheat CC or whatever. But it was also at a time where like you heard rumors, like you'd talk to friends on like the playground or like at school.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was always the rumor of like 121st star that I could like never verify. I don't know, Tony or Randy, I know you didn't have an N64 at first, but I don't know if like you heard any rumors about this game or like the legends, the you know, the tales.
No, I didn't really know too much deep about it. I did want to go back and just talk about like when you like were blown away by it, because I wanted to say that also like my exposure to this game was the kiosks in stores, because this was like a showcase and it was pretty mind blowing. It's such a fascinating generation. It may be the most fascinating generation of all video games was when PlayStation 1 and N64 came out, because they were just going down such different paths. And PlayStation 1 was like janky, like very jagged graphics, but also more realistic looking. Whereas N64 was just clean, really nice edges, but blocky everything. And then like the
Yeah.
rest of the games also went
Cartoony.
down. Yeah, but like as someone who was kind of used to what PlayStation offered, N64 was still impressive. It was blocky, but it was like so clean and crisp. It almost looked like another generation above in terms of resolution, which was like, and yeah, and then Mario was always the showcase in the kiosks, and I would screw around, but like, yeah, I've only for the longest time I only saw like the first two worlds forever.
Yeah. How about you, Tony? Were there any like any kind of legends or like
Oh
tales
yeah.
that you heard of like 121st star or anything?
There was always the one that was floating around. It's like if you beat the game a certain way or you did something, you could play as Luigi after you
Mhm.
beat the game a certain way. Like you beat
Oh
the game
yeah,
and you
I
turn it
think I
off, you
did
turn it
hear
on. It's
that
like
one.
now you can play as Luigi, and it was like, oh, that's so cool. So we try like that's what my friend and I would do. We hear these rumors and we try them out for like weeks. We do everything we could to get it to work, and it was like, oh, that kind of was a bummer. Nothing really happened out of it. That was all just rumors and hearsay.
Yeah.
Or that like the other one I think was when you beat it, there was the rumor of Yoshi, but that was true. But that you could ride him at the end, which again not true because he just jumps out of there.
Yeah, he just
Super,
jumped straight into a waterfall. He's like, I've had enough of this. He's like, I gave you your 99 lives. My work here is done. I also agree with Randy where the first place I might have seen this game even before my friend's house was I remember going to like the Blockbuster, and the Blockbuster always had like the triable N64. There was always a line too. Like no matter what time I went, there was always like two kids in front of me wanting to play. I just remember I think that was the first time I ever touched the analog stick, and I was like, what the heck is this thing? Like, because I know the PlayStation 1 had the DualShock, but I feel like the DualShock came out a little bit later. I feel like that came out like maybe 97, 98. So this was like my first time outside of an arcade touching an analog stick, right? And I'm sure we'll get back to that later. So I want to start hopping into the categories here. So we've got a bunch of categories that we're going to break down for each game. Um, they'll vary a little bit, but we'll have some of the same ones, a little bit of continuity with them. So the first question I want to pose to you, Tony, what's aged the best about this game? What still
oh
works?
man, that is a tough question. I think what's really aged is that it's stepped the game series into the third dimension, and it held a really good like foothold there. The movement of Mario has only improved with time, as there's been times when you're playing that game and it just is buttery and smooth and you can get around. You're doing crazy moves. You're like, holy crap, I can't believe I landed that. I can't believe I jumped over to that platform and it didn't fall off. And there's other times when you're just like, will you just jump off the wall instead of smacking your face on it every time? Or do the backflip, don't slide forward. Do the backflip, don't. And you're ready to throw the controller. So there's been times where like the controls were super tight and then super terrible. But I think the whole thing has just been that like giving Mario more than just jump and run, that he has move like a move set and more agile jumping than just up and down was a big thing that has really stepped the franchise up when they moved from 2D to 3D.
Yeah. What about you, Randy? Anything in particular that you feel has really aged the best?
Uh, yeah, the moves and the controls. It's funny. Yeah, so I'm always gonna have this perspective of this game of like being the one who came late to it. But when I was getting into like Mario Sunshine and then Mario Galaxy, every time those games were reviewed or people talked about them, they're like, "Oh yeah, he still has his backwards jump," and because everybody knew that, and I was like, "Oh, I guess he had a backwards jump in 64 or like the backflip," and it's like something that was so universally known, and it was like new to me. But then they were all like, "Oh, they carried over the moves," and I was like, "Well, cool, they're cool moves." I would say the things that aged the best, and like seeing it from the perspective of someone who came to it late is like the creativity. I think like just having only ever seen the first two worlds for so long and kind of thinking that was the whole game and that was like the feel I had of it. And then just learning how every world had new mechanics, which shouldn't surprise me because the 2D Marios did that. And like Super Mario World's my favorite game of all time. And like, there's so much creativity is what Mario games are about, but like just still that there's so much in there that they could have just rested on the fact that it was we made it 3D and that's enough. And they didn't. They like really pushed it in like lots of weird directions, and some of it's janky and some of it doesn't work and some of it holds up less well, we'll talk about. But I think the creativity, every level, and the level design is so interesting. I don't think even the future 3D Marios copied it. I think this other 3D Marios feel different than this one. This one feels like every level kind of feels like you're literally climbing a mountain. But it's like that is an interesting approach to 3D platformers that the other platformers I play don't really do. They're more focused level design, and this is more like just throw you in a sandbox and like you figure it out. And Odyssey I think kind of brought that back a little bit, where it was like Odyssey was like kind of like pretty big worlds of like go screw around for a while. But it's like, yeah, it's just very fascinating design that I don't see many other games even try to, not even the other 3D platformers, even try to attempt to copy it. It's just like its own little weird game, one of one.
Yeah. I think to build on that, you're right. The diversity and the levels, and even the water levels drive me nuts when we get to what age the worst. Like the swimming mechanics drive me nuts, but they're even really great, and really the ambiance is really great with the music. The two things I love is the fact that the game slowly introduces you to a new way of playing, meaning they know that a lot of people, it's going to be the first time they ever use an analog stick if you're playing new. For example, you go to Bomb Battlefield, the first level, and it's pretty flat. And then they start introducing you to slopes little by little, and you start understanding, oh, Mario's going to be able to like change altitude, right? And then by the time you get to the mountain, now you're like ready for it. Or the first time you fight Bowser, his fights are probably the most underwhelming part of the game for me, but it teaches you how to spin with the analog stick. It teaches you how to use it in different ways. So I did like that they held your hand, right? If you're going to introduce something pretty breakthrough technology wise, you've got to be there to like introduce your crowd to it. And I think the second thing was the idea that it was the first time that you could play a Mario game pretty freely, where you could go to like most of the worlds in choices. It wasn't so linear. I know Mario World, you can jump around a little bit and warp around, but you can go to any of the 4 paintings in the beginning. You can, if you're in a level, you can like backflip onto a box and maybe skip a bunch of stuff and find new ways around, because like, there were different approaches to it too.
So
Whereas
open
like
world.
Super Mario World, like you kind of had to follow the level design. So I think those are the two things that age the best, if anyone has anything else about that.
I think that you're right. It's that open world aspect that has never been in a Mario game before. Because before that, it was you move from left to right. You follow the path. I know Super Mario World, and I think the Yoshi Story ones, or not Yoshi Story, the Super Mario World 2. They're somewhat just guide you along the path, and you can find some secret roads, but like there is no there's just go down the same path every time you play it. You can't just say, I'm going to play level 5 first. You have to go through the game 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. I'm going to take what's aged the worst first, and I'm going to talk about something that I just recently experienced. I streamed this game last week or this week. but it hasn't aged as worse as I remembered it, is the camera. I know that going into a brand new 3D world, like getting the camera, getting the perspective right, it's got to be the hardest thing, right? It's got to be the biggest challenge to them was like, how do you give that, that full way around? Granted, when I'm playing that game, I am slamming that camera button more than ever, just like hoping I can get one more rotation. But it's not as bad as I remember in the way that it is so impressive that they got done what they got done with the camera out of the gate. It's really incredible, right? You think about like how big those worlds are. Like in Crash Bandicoot, you can circle the camera a little bit, but like it's always you kind of always in a corridor. Like Crash Bandicoot's never scaling a mountain or anything. So, like to see what Mario did with the camera is both what's aged the worst, but also like still kind of impressive. Um, Tony, anything for you that's aged the worst?
I was gonna probably lean into the camera, because that drove me insane. I was playing a little bit just to get a feel for some of that again, and it's like nothing is more frustrating than you hear that camera sound and then you hear it bump up against something because you're supposed to be Lukito on the cloud and he's banging into a wall that's there. It's like, no, just keep moving. It's like he can't. And it drives you insane because like if I just could turn the camera a little more, I could see and I wouldn't walk off the level. And
I
I do
think
like that in the very beginning, the first thing they do is they're like, listen, you're in a 3D world. The camera is going to be able to move so that you can get a better perspective. And they immediately tell you, like, you move it around with your C sticks, you do this, you do that. That's how it works. And if you're ever confused, just come back out here and we'll tell you again. And they give you that open world for you to play in first. Like, first thing they don't do is like the tutorial is go to the front door, just walk around.
yeah, to piggyback on the that camera part before we pass it over to Randy, I think the two most difficult levels for me, which are Shifting Sand Lane and Rainbow Ride, they are so punishing. There are instant deaths or instant you're stuck in a level, but it's always because of the camera. So there are times when the game is a little too punishing, not realizing the limitations of the camera. Randy, anything for you that hasn't aged well? It's kind of aged like cheese or bologna or whatever doesn't age well.
Some cheese ages very well.
True.
Aged cheese is actually a delicacy.
Hmm.
I would say that the camera is definitely is annoying, and the camera sound is like, yeah, it was definitely. I just wanted to scream, like, just let me go one more, please. And then also sometimes it would get a little cute and like shift automatically to a position where it's like, yeah, you probably want this.
Yep.
And I was like, I really don't. Just give me full control. I promise I know what I want better. So that's frustrating. We give it the benefit of the doubt, but it's just not aging well for me, especially because I think it got figured out a little better even in that same generation, like of 3D games. Like there are games that, are full 3D of PlayStation and N64 that just got better at it. This was the first real one taking a big swing at it. So I just think if we're going to re-release this game in the modern age, let's just knock out that camera and just let people have it a little nice quality of life. It's like the one thing, you could change. You could leave the graphics the same. I don't care about the graphics. Just give me that camera a little better because I want, with platforming, I want it to be tight. And so then I guess the other thing I don't think is like aging so well for me is that like where it is punishing. So like some of the things, like some of the running around coin collecting can get a little annoying and like
100% with the 100 coins. Yeah.
yeah, you roll your eyes like, oh, crap, I have to do this right now. And it's like not every mission is fun. And it's that's gonna be like anytime it's a drag like that and you're like, I don't want to. Or I was also gonna say it is cool how he slides around and how they integrated momentum into the 3D platforming. They did a really cool job with that. But he slides all the time. And you're like, if you're just trying to do some tight platforming, sometimes he just goes slipping off the mountain and you're like, I don't want to do that again. And it didn't feel like my fault. It felt that you are so slippery sometimes and it's and so tight other times. And you're like, God, I just want, so just little frustrations that come with older games. Certainly many other games age worse. So,
When you're running Mario up a hill and he starts slowing down getting to the top, you're like, I'm barely gonna make it onto this platform, or I'm gonna go sliding off the level.
Yeah.
And
When
there's
do I
no
time that
like
jump?
bigger like butterfly effect in the game than that like 1 inch where like Mario was like really slowing down.
Yeah, you
Yep.
got to time that last second jump to get that little bit of extra.
Yep. Or
Or
you gotta hope you got the jump and a kick in you that'll get you
yeah,
to the top. Or
that
like when he does the Superman and like, saves me sometimes.
that slide on your stomach. If you're on your Mario on his stomach, he's basically just at the whim of the game at that point. You can't make him get up until he
I
stops
know.
sliding. There's no button you can press to make him stop. He just slipping and sliding around on his tummy.
Or when there's a red coin on a hill and you're like just slipping to the left of it every time, and you're like, I can't control him anymore. I need him to find this coin on his own, and I could just blow at the screen and hope I am encouraging him.
Yeah, they do that almost immediately in the first bomb world. They're like, look, there's a coin right up there. Go ahead, figure out how to get it. They
Yes.
really do
Yeah.
teach you like every bit of the game almost in the very first level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
well,
first time I played that level, I like ran all the way up around and then slid down for the red coin. And then when you play later, you start like jumping up that hill. But yeah, you're right. Like they kind of teach you right away what some of your obstacles are going to be.
they're little stinkers. Those designers, they're little stinkers.
Yeah. To talk about what's aged the worst, one other thing that's going to transition to a topic I kind of want to get your guys' opinions on. This was the first time that I ever bought a game console where it didn't come with a launch game. Super Nintendo came with Mario World. I didn't get the Genesis when it had Altered Beast, but I did get it later when it had Sonic 2 built in. This was the first time that I had to ever go to my parents and ask for two Christmas gifts, which was
Yeah.
a game and a console. And they were like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! I'm already paying $200 for this console, and you want me to spend an extra $80 for this cartridge?" Was this the first console you ever bought, Tony? And I'm assuming yours, Randy, would be the PlayStation, even though it came with a demo disc. But like,
I was gonna bring up the demo disc.
yeah. So, Tony, was this the first time you ever didn't have a launch game come with a console, or I guess like a packaged in game? And how did that affect like your ability to buy future games or like get a running start with the N64?
So as you said, like the N64, the games were not cheap. They were more expensive then than they were now, and because the carts were just so pricey. And it was basically like I would get for like a birthday gift, one family member, like my parents would get me the console, and like my grandparents would be like, here's a game. And I ended up getting Doom 64 for my first game as like a 10-year-old or 11-year-old. So that was an interesting one, playing that game at night and then trying to go to bed, and I could not sleep most nights. But I eventually, like I said, I eventually got it. It was one of those things where it was like, oh, this looks like a really cool game. I want to get it. Well, your birthday's coming up or Christmas is coming up. Those are your options. Like you didn't often get, like, you could go to Blockbuster and rent games was the big one. That's what basically I would do, is like beg to rent a game on like a Friday night. Like, please, can I rent this? Can you rent it for me? Because that's about the only option I had. Or there was a couple other rental stores, like some grocery stores had rental things
I
where you
remember
could
that.
rent games,
Yeah.
and it's like unheard of nowadays. But that was like the lifeblood of a kid getting a hold of a game and trying a game out. And I remember playing so many different ones that were just like, this is terrible. I'm super glad I didn't actually buy this or ask for it. And that was really the only way I could get games. So like my game library really started to slow down in that era. And it wasn't until I actually had years later, when I got a job and I had my own money, that I could buy games that I wanted. So yeah, it was very limiting for a kid being 11 and 12.
Yeah. Randy, how about you? Are you going to talk about the PlayStation? And I'm assuming that was your first console that didn't come with like a traditional game package with it, right?
Yeah, and we actually we played the demo discs a lot. We played them like they were full games. Like I knew every demo in and out, would fire them up like there were free samples of ice cream at McDonald's or something. It was just like we had no money, and those demo discs, we stretched the heck out of them. Blast Chamber was like some weird game on, like I just played all the weird games on those. And then I had like some pretty rough opening games when I got a PlayStation. I had like, they were all pretty bad. I got Beast Wars Transformers because I love Beast Wars. It's one of the worst games ever. It's just so bad, and I couldn't even pretend to love it. It was so bad. So I just had a rough going in the beginning. Probably till I got Crash Bandicoot was like the first time a game was actually good that I owned, because I had some pretty rough ones. but yeah, it was. Yeah, I guess you had to fend for yourself because everybody had a different opening gamut. And then like first time I played a PlayStation, I think I played like Resident Evil 1 somebody had. That was like really, really early in the PlayStation life cycle. And that game was mind blowing. That was the Resident Evil 1 was insanely cool. And so that was a big early one. Tekken was early, you know. So it was like figuring itself out what this generation was going to look like.
Did your demo disc have a game called Intelligent Cube on it?
Yes, it did. I had that
In
one.
6th grade, me and my friends would all talk about the high score that we got in Intelligent Cube because we were all rocking the demo for the PlayStation. But it's even to say like the difference between like if your family member bought you a Nintendo 64, but they were always used to previous Nintendo systems where it came with a Mario game, there was a chance you got a console with no game. And you're just like sitting there until like you could figure out how to get a game, or at least with the PlayStation. Like, my God, like there was like some racing game that I used to play like crazy on the demo. Like there was like a Lara Croft demo. Like those were kind of fun. And it like almost differentiated a little bit where I felt like I was getting a little more bang for my buck when I bought my PlayStation out the gate. But my first PlayStation games were not great. I don't know why, but it was like really tough sledding until like maybe a year or two into PlayStation. And then you got Resident Evil, you got Gran Turismo, you got a Metal Gear Solid. But
and then Tony Hawk. And
PS2
Tony Hawk was like, Tony Hawk was a demo on one of the demo discs. Mm-hmm. And I remember like playing that and being like, it just, the whole world changed. I was like, this is the greatest game ever. And it was like, everybody bought that. Like, everybody had to have that when the full game dropped.
Yeah. All right. I hope you like playing games. We're going to play a game.
Oh boy.
We're going to pick our favorite world and our least favorite world. I will maybe go last because I have a big proclamation for my favorite world. I think we can start with Tony. Tony, what is your favorite area of Mario 64 and your least favorite?
So I've played a lot of the Mario games up until then. So one of the ones I always liked was the world that's always in most games, which is big and little. Like you're a big Mario and there's little guys, or there's just massive characters and you're just a normal Mario. So when the big little world having two different options to go into, where you're super tiny or super big or just normal, was like really cool to me. And like, but it's the same world every time, and you have to pick your size to get different stars. That was always my favorite one because it wasn't like a massively huge level or really complicated, but it was the manipulation and the changing that you could do. And like you're in there as a big guy and you're like, oh, what's that little doorway over there? I can't even get in there. It must be something that I have to come back as small Mario to see it. So I thought that was really cool. My least favorite has probably been the lava one because I spent so many times stepping into that lava by accident, getting underneath of like a platform and just bouncing up and down. Bang, scream, bang, scream, bang, scream, dead. I'm like, jeez, I didn't even get a chance to get out from under it and I'm already done.
I spent so much time getting hot ass as Mario when he like hits the lava that I became so good at like landing at like the tiniest little like little area that like Mario would live.
Yeah, I'd panic and run right back off the level again.
Yeah, those are very good picks. Randy, do you got a favorite? Do you got a least favorite?
Yeah, for a favorite, I'll say the fortress, the Wump It Up.
Yep.
I think it's pretty iconic, and the Wumps, like they existed before, but they were really kind of had a lot of personality in Mario 64, and so that's just an iconic one I saw a lot. And then the sand level can go F itself.
Shifting Sand Land. Oh my God, that place.
Like the lava sucks, but there's almost something mentally where I'm like, all right, it's a lava stage. Everything's gonna be hard. Everything's gonna suck, and you kind of just adjust your framework to prepare for it. The sand one is just like, I don't know, big pain in the ass.
And it like there was a couple times on stream where I got to like 7 red coins, and then like I turned and the camera didn't show me that like I was on the cusp of just a one-shot kill, and I was like, oh my God. When you get into the actual pyramid of Shifting Sandland, it's a little more fun. Everything outside Shifting Sandland is just the worst. Okay, my favorite level is Hazy Maze Cave. And I feel like Hazy Maze Cave is like the first time that like Mario 64 like arrives. Like the music is so good, the level is so expansive, the types of stars you get there are so diverse. I feel like Hazy Maze Cave is like where like Mario 64 like metaphorically like drops it on the table and it's like this is it, man. Like this is and I like obviously like Metal Hat is my favorite hat. It's my favorite music. It's like everything about that level just like kicks so much ass. My least favorite, I won't do Shifting Sandland because Randy took that, so I'll take my second least favorite, which is Rainbow Ride. Rainbow Ride is so punishing. The flying carpet will just leave, and you're stuck, and you have to like either like jump to your death or whatever.
So yeah.
Yeah, and like the stars are not really well labeled, so you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. So, to come off Tick-Tock Clock, which I am such a bigger fan of playing this time than I was last time, and then to go to like Rainbow Ride as like your last world, it's just I never really enjoy it. And it's another one of those games that punishes the shit out of you half of the time because of the camera. And that's what I don't like. I don't like when when I don't feel like I earned the death, right? Like if I screwed up, like I screwed up, but like don't make me feel like I died because of like extenuating circumstances, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching in preparation for this. I was watching some like really master players, and then I watched your stream. But like in all the instances, like some of the jumps and some of the stars, people are just doing kind of blindly. Like now you're on top of this platform and you can't see Mario anymore, and you're just like kind of winging and praying for a little bit. You're just like, well, I don't see my guy, and I'm using instincts here to hope I'm controlling him, right, for just a little bit. And again, like, I mean, there's so many worse platformers of the era. Like, I mean, freaking Bubsy came out like after this. Like Bubsy 3D came out after this. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
That would be our second podcast episode, but yeah.
I know. And so like, so many get it worse. So we're just giving it grief because it's the one we're talking about. But it is funny where you're just like, even pros are like, well, I can't see my guy for a little while.
There are times on Rainbow Road where I'm just like, I kind of see something below, and I'm just gonna long jump it, and I'm gonna wing it, and we're gonna see how this works. And that was like a lot of the complaints with that. Okay, so each episode we're gonna have like a hot take, right? But we're gonna name it in honor of like a nice scalding part of the map or a level. So this one's called the lethal lava take. I'm gonna start with you, Tony. I want a take so hot that it's going to make someone flip their tabletop simulator.
So, to soften the blow, one of the things I really didn't like was from like the hot take is that there's just no good amount of Koopas in this game compared to previous games.
Mm-hmm.
And I know why, kind of the shell thing, but because of that, the shells in the game giving you that ability to surf around is why I like the Shifting Sands level. It's probably my second favorite level.
Wow.
Because the first thing we would always do with my friends and I would play is you run over to that platform, you get that turtle shell, and you just cruise around the level for 10 minutes endlessly.
Yeah.
It didn't even matter if you fell in the sand and died. You just had the blast going up and down the things, jumping around, hitting coins, doing stuff, and like trying to do little tricks and catch all the guys and stuff. So that's kind of why I actually liked that level. And it was a strong debate for me to be that is my favorite level because of that memory, or is it because of all the mechanics that I liked about Little Big World? And I stuck with Little Big World, but I would have probably picked Shifting Sandlands as one of my top favorite levels.
Oh, that's a hot take. I like it. Randy, what you got?
Bowser innocent. Bowser.
Wow.
Bowser did nothing wrong. Yeah, I think that, well, me personally, just the way I came to this game after other 3D Marios, I think personally that Super Mario Sunshine is a much better game, and I like Sunshine a lot. But I think people rank Sunshine lower. A lot of people do because they're very nostalgic for this one. Sunshine is kind of controversial. I think people have softened on it over the years, but I just think you either love or hate what they did with that game. And I think you liked it, I'm pretty sure, but I very much enjoyed Sunshine. And they went the other way with that one, where like the flood gives you extra platforming time to get to find your landing spot. So they like really were like, we're going to go the opposite way of forgiveness. Landing on a platform is really easy in Sunshine, and I liked the precision. I like the island theme. I liked, that just all spoke to me more. So I appreciate what this game did, but I like that game better.
GameCube was their weird console, right? You got Wind Waker, you've got Sunshine. And I really like the weird games. And they're not weird in like a pejorative way. They're weird and they're just different. And I do really like Sunshine. I think it's sandwiched by two of some of my favorites, which are Mario 64 and my favorite Mario of all time, Galaxy 1. But I agree that Sunshine brought something really cool to the table. I think part of it was we didn't have another Mario game on the N64, right? We had like Mario Party and things. We didn't have a traditional Mario game. Whereas like we got two Zeldas on the N64. Mm-hmm. So when Wind Waker came out and it was weird, it's like, okay, but we're coming off like two excellent Zeldas.
That's a good point. So the hype, I remember the hype of Sunshine, and people were so hyped. And then Mario comes rolling out and he's got this Ghostbuster backpack and everybody's like confused. They're like, why has he got a backpack? What the heck's going on? We just wanted another Mario. So the game started like kind of pissing people off before it even arrived.
Everything with GameCube was like, why is Zelda cel shaded or Link cel shaded? Why do I have a second person in my cart in Double Dash? Like why is Metroid in first person? Like everything.
Double Dash cut so much flack, but we love. Tony and I played so much Double Dash.
Oh my god, Double Dash was a blast.
Double Dash was amazing. Double Dash absolutely didn't deserve all the crap it got.
Yeah. My hot take is that this is the most important non-NES Mario game that's ever come out. I think that taking the regular Nintendo Entertainment System, Famicom off the table, this is the most important Mario game for Nintendo's legacy, for customer loyalty. I think that Mario World is an incredible game. It's in my top 5. But I think Nintendo is beating Sega in the console wars regardless. They just had more stability. They had more support from Rare. They had Super Metroid. They had A Link to the Past. I feel like PlayStation was Nintendo's first real adversary. And they came out swinging. They came out later than PlayStation, but they had the best game of both consoles for quite a few years until like PlayStation really picked up steam. But I feel like without Mario 64, I do wonder what the transition is to N64 and if PlayStation just steamrolls it in terms of popularity, in terms of purchasing. I don't know how you guys feel, and maybe we can get into now like, the legacy of this game. But for me, it's not in my top 5 of Mario's, but it'd be like number 6. But to me, it's the most important other than 1 and 3.
Well, you also get to see the alternate universe where it's bad. And that alternate universe is Sonic. Because Sonic literally was cooking in 2D. Like absolutely not a subpar game. Sonic games are really fun. And then just could not figure out 2D,
Sonic
3D.
Kept the lights on.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic, people are really nostalgic for the adventure games, but they are rough to replay and just awkward and weird and like way more awkward. And Mario just transitioned so much better. And like you said, like really cemented its legacy. Whereas Sonic, we're all like, anytime a new Sonic comes out, we all hold our breath. We're like, what the hell are you going to do this time? Like, we don't trust you.
I'll see what someone else thinks of it first before I even waste time looking at it.
And everybody, like, there's so much rope given to Sonic, and everybody's rooting for, like, an amazing 3D Sonic we don't have to apologize for. And they just refuse to make it. There's always something. They, like, had a really interesting one with Sonic Unleashed, and then, like, all the trailers were getting people hyped, and then they showed the Werehog stuff, and they're like, come on!
I feel like Sonic is up there with like Mario and like Crash Bandicoot as like you'll never stop rooting for them. They were such dope. They were the 3 mascots at that time, right? Between Sega, the PlayStation, and N64, and you want to root for them. But I played Sonic Adventure on stream about a year and a half ago, and that was rough. Like I just did Sonic's level, and it's not so much the gameplay. The story is like it's just it's mind boggling. It's asinine. I can't figure it out.
Off the charts, off the rails. Has no guidelines at all.
I played Sonic Adventure 1 on PC like in college, like way after the fact, and it was brutal. It was really rough. The first
Yeah.
one.
Adventure 2 is a game I've never played and do want to stream, but
I
you're
have
right.
played Adventure
Mario
2.
went where, because Crash didn't start in 2D and he's still 2D kind of in most of the levels, but like Warped is where you get some more of like the little 3D elements and stuff. But yeah, you're right. That transition could have been Sonic-like. So
Tony,
we can
hold on,
hop-
Tony, you were saying you played.
I
Which
played
one
Sonic
did you?
2 Adventures 2 when it came out. I was curious, is Shadow in 1? I didn't play much of 1.
No,
So
Shadow's not in
they
1.
introduced
There's
Shadow
too
a
much.
lot in 2.
There's not enough room with Big the Cat there.
Yeah, well, in 2 they take the story, I guess, and just fling it all over the place because it gets wild with Shadow and all sorts of different things. And
two
I think,
is crazy because they also like break up the mechanics. So you're like
yeah,
the Sonic levels are fun, and then all of a sudden you're just like hunting emeralds forever with the Knuckles levels. The Knuckles levels are painful, and you're
and
like,
the snow
why?
glides.
Yeah, and you're like, back to the Sonic, please,
The
Yeah.
worst was the Tails and Robotnik level where you just put them in a robot, walk around.
and go
And
slow.
it was
Go
bad
so
3D
slow.
platforming, bad 3D mechanics.
Yeah.
There was nothing about it made it fun. It was just,
Poor
how do I
Sonic,
get
man.
out of this to get to my Sonic level?
Yeah. Where do you guys place this? I guess I'll start with you, Tony. Where do you place this, like in the franchise in ranking? You don't have to rank your Marios, but where do you place it in terms of like replayability, enjoyment? Like kind of, I see a lot of Mario World love behind you.
Hmm
Where do you put this iteration of
World was
mainline
probably one of my
Mario?
tops.
Okay.
Before Galaxies, and I kind of lumped the two Galaxies together as just Mario Galaxies because they're just so good together and very good iterations of each other. This would have been second until those came out, and I would put this third purely because of what it did for the franchise, and it stepped it out of the 2D world and into the 3D. But I had just so much nostalgia for the first Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World. I probably played them way more than this just because it was the only thing I had as a kid. So those are still up there. This is probably around third place for me.
Yeah. How about you, Randy? I know you mentioned you like Sunshine a little bit more, but where does it rank for you in the Mario series? A really stellar Mario. Like Mario, you can find 15 games that are awesome in this series. So I'm kind of interested to see where you put 64 and all those.
Yeah, it's funny. I love Mario, as we all. I really love the 3D games, and like Super Mario World's my favorite game of all time, and then Galaxy 1 and Odyssey are probably could be in the top 10, both of them, like
Yeah.
somewhere. It's just such a good series. It's ridiculous. But with that said, I don't, because I was late to it, and because I didn't play it in its generation, or even 2 generations after, it took me a really long time to settle in and play it for real. It's like pretty low for me, unfortunately. The nostalgia is a little missing for me. I think but I do, with that said, it's like fun to play.
Mhm.
Like bottom line, it is fun to play, and I am happy playing it. So it's not bad at any, it's just I'm now, I'm a sucker for quality of life, and it's harder for me to go back. I think, you're playing nothing but retro games on the podcast, on the stream.
Yeah.
And like, I think in our friend group, like everybody's a little more retro playing than I am. I'm like always looking for like, what has even more quality of life? I'm always looking for newer games. I'm like, yes, can I save in the middle of saving? Like, just,
Yeah.
I just love
What game mode can I just put on autopilot and watch? Yeah.
Yes. Is the camera guided by just AI and Alexa? Is like, I'm such a sucker for all the new stuff that like, without the nostalgia, it's tough for me to go back to this game and love it as hard as everybody else does, but I do appreciate it.
Got it. I think the last question for everybody, and I guess I can start with this, and I already talked about it before, but what is the legacy of this game as a whole, not just a Mario game, but what is the legacy and why is this game significant enough where you can make it the first episode of a podcast? And I feel like it was Mario cementing itself. Okay, so my hot take was that this is the most important non-NES Mario. My second game in that ranking would be Mario Land 2 as the second most important non like NES game. And that's because Mario Land 2 shows that Mario can be awesome anywhere. Mario can be awesome not just on the NES, but it can be also in any format on any console. But I think Mario 64 cements Nintendo as the gaming company moving forward. I think it just gives it the most brand loyalty. And now think about it. There's Nintendo stores. I went to a Nintendo store in Kyoto, right? There's not a PlayStation store. There's not an Xbox store, right? Like this is it. This is where you make your fanboys, like where you cement them. Again, not in a pejorative way. I'm the biggest Mario fanboy there is. What about you, Tony? What do you think its legacy is?
Its real legacy is just, it is the new Mario. This is how Mario is going to be moving forward. You recognize him from your old games, from the 2D world, but this is what Mario is going to be like. This is his voice. We've never really heard him talk until this game. He now has like a health bar, which he never had in the past. Here's how he moves around through the world. Like, this is what Mario is going to be now. It's not the way you remember it for the last, 20 years, close to 20 years. Right? No, 15 years probably. Something like that. I think it was about 15 years. He came around in 83, I think.
Yeah.
So like he's been around for a while. We've had this little guy running around as a plumber, and it's like now he is the new 3D Mario. It is what he's going to be like the whole time, and like the moves and all the things that they added to the game that was totally different from the previous games, but just kind of felt intuitive, was just what really cemented the system, or cemented like the as you said, the N64 as like the winner of that, almost like a winner of that generation early, and really got people going to get that console early because of what they had and their advertising and how much they put forward to like show Mario. I swear I remember a commercial where like he steps out of a 2D world into a 3D world through a screen or something, like showing him turn 3D. And it's like, this is the new Mario. He's three-dimensional. He's running around. He's jumping. He's doing all the stuff that you remember, but it's not just all moving left and right anymore, up and down. It's 3D. You got all directions. So I think that was kind of like the legacy of this game, is that this is basically Mario taking the next step forward and becoming the new Mario that we all recognize.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that before Randy hops into the legacy part, we're approaching the 30-year anniversary of Mario 64 this September. And what you said, Tony, is perfect. It's still the formula. It's still the formula of what we do. The MacGuffins and stars, or the collectibles in Odyssey with the suns. You know, you've got the health bar that it established. You've got like variety of worlds and being able to kind of choose your path and go from galaxy to galaxy or go in Odyssey. You're right. This is the blueprint. It hasn't changed. Like it's they're still running it back 30 years later, and it still kicks ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Randy?
Yeah, well, Sony had a really interesting point about the voice. That is 100% true, because he like this added so much more character to the 2D person we had seen, and he's so iconic in our culture. But yeah, this really created the Mario that became like the Mario in the movie that just came out, started at the N64, because before that, those 2D sprites, they don't quite look the same. Like, none of them do. They look like sort of like Mario, but the 3D version cemented it, and it's very iconic. The box art, I think, is like among the best box art ever. Like, we could all picture it in our heads right now, what that box art looks like. It's so freaking iconic, like that Mario 64 box cover. I can't say that about too many games, but where like this one, it's like I could conjure it up in my head what that looks like, of him flying at me is just so good. And then yeah, so like we talked a lot of the podcast about mechanically about the game, but I think in terms of iconically, and you're saying you didn't see a PlayStation store, you didn't see an Xbox store, it's like PlayStation and Xbox really changed what consoles were by just trying to be these adult things. Like, I think PlayStation had a fork in the road where they could have steered into Crash Bandicoot more and been more Nintendo-like, and they kind of abandoned him for a while, and like they're both chased Call of Duty and shooters and all this stuff for so long that like Mario is, and Nintendo's the last system to do it, to really tie a mascot, and Sega did it and back in the day, and then like this next generation, they were like, PlayStation's like, oh, we'll have ours, it'll be Crash Bandicoot, and then they kind of just were like, not stopped being interested in having a mascot. And I think it's a shame, because like obviously it reaps a lot of rewards. Like Mario is a whole universe of other characters and other games and just spin-offs and spin-offs and spin-offs. And that, maybe they tried too. Maybe they were like behind the scenes trying to do what the Mario one's done. And it's like the staying power is incredible. And I just watched the Mario Galaxy movie, which is so many Easter eggs to the whole franchise. And they're like, and it's incredible how much to pull from. And they just could have put a 5-hour cut of just like Easter eggs. And you're like, oh my God, I recognize that theme from an NES game and that song from a SNES game. And you're like, they're so rich. But go back to N64, Mario 64 specifically. I think this made Mario as we know him, and that's pretty incredible and still fun to play. That's impressive.
You think about like Mario's legacy too as a character, like he's the one character that my grandparents knew who he was, right? He's the one character that like people in your family and with that became like the brand trust, right? So like if your grandma was going to buy you a game, she'd ask your parents like, "Oh, does he have the new Mario game?" And you knew it was just like a comfort buy. It was a safe buy. And like for 64 to just like continue that. And they also talk about the legacy of this game in particular. Like you want to talk about N64 having higher peaks, but PlayStation 8 N64's launch in terms of overall game catalog, right? Overall game catalog, the PlayStation has 10, 12, 14, 16 classics on it. Not even talking about the PlayStation 2, but the peaks of Mario 64 and the peaks of Ocarina of Time and the peaks of Smash Brothers were so high that it didn't matter that PlayStation had more consistently great stuff and less expensive great stuff. The N64 succeeded because those peaks, and that starts with Mario 64, right?
Yeah, I also like that ties into my point because the peaks also of N64, they all have like family and kids in mind, like Zelda and Mario are. But when I think of the peaks of PlayStation, they're kind of adult focused, like Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil and Metal Gear Solid. They're not gonna work. They're incredible masterpieces, but they're not gonna work for everybody in the family. Like I'm just not sitting down with like mom and sister and like Metal Gear Solid. It's just like it's such a weird game, but like a colorful, kingdom with all sorts of hills and green and little monsters. It's like, so anybody, you can show that to anybody. It's happy times.
And I know that we talked about some of the preamble going around about the GameCube and some of the games coming out. When you think about when the N64 was announced, it was still going to be on a cartridge. When there was all the rumors of all the systems that had either come out or were coming out that were going to be on CD. And then for Nintendo to still kick so much ass in a cartridge format, where what did they have, like 4 megabits to work with? And they still built Super Mario 64 and they still built Ocarina of Time in those. Yes, the cartridges were more expensive and kind of annoying, but like to still be successful in that format, right? That's the last cartridge console. And then GameCube goes to the mini discs and Dreamcast.
They loved being behind and underpowered so much, they continue to do it for the rest of their generations. They're like, finally Switch 2 is like the semi-current with its competitors, but every other generation has lagged behind, and it's like, nobody cares.
Yeah. And there was a full year between PlayStation launching in September 9th, 95, and then the N64 launching, in 96. So like we knew what was possible with terms of like FMV and stuff. So again, for this to be so good on what people had some like reticence about was awesome. Anything else with Legacy or anything else about the game as we wrap up here? I know Tony wanted to make fun of me because I didn't know what was it? I didn't know that when the monkey took the hat from me, I took double damage. How was I supposed to know that?
Well, I mean, you have a health meter. It just goes down faster.
But that means that I'm paying attention to my health meter. So here's the thing, right? The only way to get information in that game is from the 3 toads standing around. You know how Varys has his little birds in Game of Thrones? I've got my little toads that bring me information. If the toad doesn't tell me anything, how am I supposed to know?
There's like little pictures all around the room, all around the game that you don't even notice. They just look like blurry background stuff, but you can go over and read them, and it tells you like little tiny things about the game all over it. The one thing that I found was interesting, that I played the game again just for getting ready for this podcast. I didn't know Mario can do a front sliding kick.
I didn't know that either.
if you know how when you normally jump and dive, he does like the diving attack, you can jump and
Yeah.
kick your foot forward, or you can squat and long jump. If you squat and kick, he like brings his front foot up and slides forward, kicking people. I didn't even know you could do that. And I played this game for years as a kid, and I only accidentally did it because I messed up the controller because the A button was not in the same place I remember it. I went to do a long jump and did a long kick. And I'm scooting across the ground on my my booty, kicking Goombas. I'm like, whoa, this is like a mechanic I didn't even know I could do this whole time. And I've been trying to run over and punch guys. And I had this sliding kick in my back arsenal. So it's like, now I want to go back and try Galaxy and see if that's there, where I can do a
Yeah.
sliding kick as well. Because I didn't even know that was an ability until literally 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to mention about Legacy is this is, I think, one of the top 10, maybe not anymore, but one of the top 10 speedrunning games. And I think part of that, if you watch Summoning Salt YouTubes and you see there's a 120 star one, there is a blindfold one where people speedrun this game blindfolded and do it very efficiently. And I think this was like the last time where you had to launch a game, glitches or not, right? And there are
Mm-hmm.
plenty of glitches in Mario 64. So I feel like the ability to play the game any way you want, combined with the glitches, combined with just how fun the game is, means there's so many different ways to approach it and so many different ways to speedrun it. But it still remains top 10 speedrunning game to this day, which is incredible. That also people still own that many N64s because you have to do it on the Nintendo 64. All right. Thank you guys for joining me for this first episode of the Replayables. I feel like we did a really good job kind of fawning for Mario 64 and also really helped to have Randy's perspective as someone who may not have played it at the time. So he doesn't technically have the rose-colored glasses that we do, but still finds a lot to love about the game. So again, thank you to everybody for joining us for this first episode. And we'll see you soon here for episode 2 when we cover Mega Man X. Take care of yourselves.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.